Living in Truth. During the previous talks, I have offered you a different view and hopefully also a new experience of who you really are and what is needed to make this innate potential available in daily life. The previous talk on the logic of life gives you an invisible, omnipresent manual that guides you through the intense experience of living in existence. But all of this remains useless theory from an old alchemist if it's not brought to living in truth. Living in truth is making the logic of life practical. The Logos is the expression of the absolute truth. Your job is to let it move through your mind and body, willing to express it as pure as possible. Now that is a challenging task, I agree, because I'm asking you to express the absolute through relative channels, or to show unity in a dualistic way. Well, welcome to the human game called existence. Words, bodies, matter, emotion, thoughts, and so on, it cannot express the absolute. But that's not the point, and neither the nature of the game, because it is to express it as pure as possible by being in unity with the absolute, because that is something what we can do. It is a challenging game, indeed, and we have developed all kinds of ways to try to avoid it. Living in a cave, sex and drugs and rock and roll, religions, philosophy, and even suicide. But guess what? It does not change anything. The game in itself and human reality are beyond our reach, except if we fully emerge into the game. A very common escape from the game of life is my truth and your truth. But this has nothing to do with what is talked about previously, and certainly not with the absolute. It is based on opinions and temporary facts and differs from person to person and moment to moment. Funny thing is, if you are from this My Truth tribe, it leads to people often saying almost or even completely the same and still disagree and argue. Once you start to live in truth and meet somebody else who does so, you will have different views and opinions, but it very rarely leads to conflict. The reason is because you approach duality from unity and not the other way around. So, how to start this process and make this alchemy talks practical and efficient for you? First, we need to make the shift I have described during the previous talks. A process that leads you from emotional and mental attachment without real presence to embodied presence as life. It is known since millennia that we humans heal from the dualistic energy of the world by returning to nature. But here is no need to go to a monastery in the Himalayas. Simply sitting under a tree and enjoying the blue sky, a river or the sea, a passing butterfly. I'm sure it is all there just within arm reach. Simple, but it is not about making a walk while thinking about work or your troubles. It will need your full presence and attention. The key is, when we are truly present in nature and relax, we can return to our nature, your nature. The illusion of the I-mind will melt, and a different experience of time and space will awaken. That's all it takes. Keep it simple, but be very consistent. Each day where you have missed these beautiful expressions of perfection I described before, you can count as not lived. By returning to nature, you start to experience life, people, and the world entirely different. And that is because you have returned to your original unity with life and nature. Simply learning this will give you much more energy, clarity, and consciousness. But now comes the tricky point. This light will also shine on the imbalances, the illusions, the lies that are present in your life. Or as I called it before, the false logic, but not the way of the Logos. The alchemical way is not through creating external changes, but to become increasingly aware of your actions, your non-actions, your thoughts, your emotions. Once we fully see the truth of the situation, change will happen naturally. I know this is not a passive state, but an open, present state, where action can be needed or not. Living in truth makes your life intense, that's true. But it also makes it real and right, and in alignment with the Logos. And that will give you peace and lots of support and energy. Well, how? Because now you start feeling that you are one with life and with everything that is in it. So this whole field can support you. But don't you try to change everything overnight. There is no hurry. Start by listening to what life shows you right now. Find a situation that upsets you or that you struggle with. And now ask yourself the following questions. What in this situation makes me suffer? What is it that I do unlogic according to life and the way of nature? How does nature do it differently? What comes up when I link a nature scene with the situation I'm struggling with? This might be a mountain, a river, an animal, or even a Milky Way. Just connect the two. When I see this consciously, what do I need to stop, to say, to accept? That's what helps me to restore the balance and unity in my life. 4 simple steps, but consequently doing them will deeply change your life. In the beginning it will feel a bit mechanic, but once you're used to it, it gets built into your psyche and it becomes like a second nature. From there on, the practice for the rest of your life is to learn to use the Logos. How God and the cosmos express themselves through you, through your words and your actions. I assure you that following this path, your life will step by step become better. Why? Because it is you, and it is in truth. Thank you for listening.